obviously researching to get to talk to you. I was looking over things. First main card bout for you. What does that mean to you to finally? Is it a kind of thing that you feel like, oh, you earned it, you deserved it, or should you have been on the main card long before this?
I think I earned it, deserve it. I think I definitely worked to show that I can be on my main card main card guy. So I think it's just about the right time.
What's your thoughts on this? This of course is going to be a lot of build up that your opponent, you faced him in college, your team in college, you faced him in college. Now in MMA, does that even is it a kind of thing that the connection to him is solid, or it's kind of so distant? He's just another opponent. There has to be a background.
Just another opponent. I mean, we were in college 10 plus years ago. So I haven't seen Rudy talk to him in 10 plus years. So it means he's just another guy, just an opponent. I mean, it's a familiar face, but it doesn't mean anything.
He mentioned in an article I read that he was talking about he was kind of hoping you guys would have fought later and maybe for more money. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like, oh yeah, that's a sound thinking, yeah, maybe we're going to be champion stars, or do you feel like he's not ready for you?
No, I said the same thing in the interview. Because when I was presented the fight, I was told that he asked to fight me. And I told Bellator, if someone asked to fight me, just send me the contract. I'm not going to deny a fight or put fights down. Because I didn't even know you could do that. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, guys were rejecting and throwing fights. I was like, people can do that even if you're signed? Like, I didn't know that could happen. So I was like, yo, if anybody asks to fight me ever, just send me the contract. I'll fight him. And so that's how they presented it to me. So I was like, Rudy asked to fight me this soon? I would assume that Bellator would have held that off because of, especially from both main cards, that's the story behind that. We went to college together, wrestled on the same college team, and then wrestled each other in college. Like, you can kind of build something from that, especially because he trains with Chael. I've known Chael since I was in the 3rd grade. I grew up with Chael. And so I think there's a big story behind that Bellator could have used, but I guess they didn't want to. or maybe a rematch later on. I just thought that would happen later on.
Now that you can turn down fights, would you have turned down anything anyway?
No, I'm not going to turn down any fight. I'm not going to turn down fights. That's what we're here for. Exactly. That's why I'm doing my job. So it's just no, I won't do that.
I read that you've been working with Vader recently.
Yeah.
One, of course, what's the experience like? And two, is there a part of you like, I'm working with maybe I may face him later, so this might be worthwhile to know what he's like?
I really don't see us fighting. I really do not see us fighting. I think probably by the time I get up to that level, I think he'll be going out. But I don't see us fighting. And maybe it will happen. I don't think so. But man, it's so much. It's such a big tool for me to be able to go with a double champ who has 20 plus years fighting experience from the UFC, Bellator champ. So it's amazing just to be able to always be able to test myself and see what gains I'm making. And, you know what I mean? So it's good to get that advice from him and ask him to critique me while we're sparring and stuff. So it's nice to have that.
What's his suggestion? Because he's been around the sport a long time. Went through the Ultimate Fighter. He's been a big free agent. What's his probably best advice he's given to you that made you go, oh shit, that's worthwhile information?
Well, really, it's like, so we've probably been going for about 4 or 5 months. And so at the end of my camp, it was just a lot of the things were just saying, man, you've improved on these things. Like a lot of these things that you weren't doing that well at first, now you're really doing them, and it's really effective. So it's hearing those critiques like, man, you're improving, you're getting better, you're dangerous with these things, like be super confident. So I know if things are working on him, it should work on pretty much majority of everybody else.
Now, for a lot of course, the thing when any grappler, wrestler, BJJ comes into this sport, it's about learning striking and everything like that. Now, we've seen some guys that when they're wrestler backgrounds, they kind of fall in love with their striking, and it can be a detriment. Example, Aaron Pico. It's probably been a detriment that he went away from his wrestling. What is there ever a fear, or is there something in the back of your mind, or is there something your coaches tell you? Never forget the high-level wrestling you have. Love the striking, grow your striking, but never forget what the bread and butter is.
If you know who my coaches are, the Lally brothers and Jameson White, they don't wrestle. All we do is throw hands and kick. We love the fire. So my coaches know I have that wrestling, and he definitely reminds me like, hey, sometimes go back and use your wrestling and stuff like that. But I think it's just about making me a complete fighter. My coach doesn't want me to ever just have to rely on wrestling and go out there and just wrestle. It's about being confident in my other tools as well. So we focus a lot more on the other tools because I wrestled for 26 years. So it's just really just making me that complete fighter, and I love that because now being with Bader, I'm able to get all those grappling and wrestling situations in there, and then so we can just focus on the striking.
Now, I mentioned Pico. Of course, you are part of the Fab Five. Pico, Ed Ruth, Trice, Joey Davis. What are the lessons? Have you learned any lessons from what they've gone through? Ed Ruth has progressed a little faster. Pico's progressing even faster because they pushed him hard. You, Trice, and Joey Davis have slowly been, groomed. What are the experiences, or what have you learned from the experience? Looking at them, go, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should do that. Anything from those guys?
No, not anything. I mean, the most curious thing is why do some of them get pushed harder than the other ones, especially when they're losing?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. That kind of it really irks my coach, and you just don't understand. Like, all right, if I'm knocking guys out and dominating guys, why am I not being pushed as much?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think those guys get the opportunity more, and then you get him on a fast track of fighting, and he keeps losing and getting knocked out. And now you put out a release that you're not going to even fight him for a little bit. So now who fills that void? And so like as the part of that Fat Five, you kind of wonder, okay, like we're sitting there wondering, okay, well, who's going to get pushed next? You know what I mean? It seems like they try to take all their eggs and put them in one basket, and if it fails, then they just kind of like, all right, well, they don't know what to do anymore. Or it seems like we get the backlash from it. Like I felt like I got pushed out for 6 months every fight after Pico kept losing because they were like worried if that was going to happen to me. And it's like, well, we're not in the same camp. We don't train in the same state. We're completely two different weight classes. You know what I mean? And I think that type of stuff they don't really assess too much. I don't know where the focus is at and how they navigate. Okay, we're going to push this guy, get behind this guy, and it just seems weird, especially because my weight class is empty.
Yeah.
I got nothing but old veterans, and you know what I mean. And then you got Pico fighting 35 pounders, and he's getting highlight reels from fighting 35 pounders, and then I'm fighting heavyweights. You know what I mean? So it's just a little weird. When I look at their opponents and when I look at everybody else and see their opponents on main cards and who they're fighting, and then we talk about my main card fights, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't correlate. So it's kind of like, hey, I don't know what's going on sometimes.
Is there something in you? I mean, you don't want to root bad for any fighter, but when you see some of these things happen, you kind of like, I told you so. They're rushing those guys, and I'm rushing me. Maybe they shouldn't be rushing those guys.
Oh, not at all. I just think that part has. I don't get jealous or upset with that. I just think it's like, well, what do I have to do to show you I'm that guy? Like my last fight, I finished the guy under 2 minutes with a knockout, and I'm like, okay, so I hope I get the fight sooner, right? That's what you guys wanted, and then it's still another 6-month layover. So I'm like, okay, what do you want? Like, all I'm asking to do is stay active. I don't care. I didn't care who you put me in the cage with. If you weren't going to give me that more experienced guy, just get me in the cage so I'm not sitting out for 6 months. And when a guy is losing and he's still getting in the cage 3 months, I'm like, so if I lose, do I get to fight sooner? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? It's just weird. You don't know what's going on.
That's